Hello, everyone. This is kind of difficult for me to do. I don't want this to be a sad occasion. I want it to be a happy occasion. Homegoing for a lady who was like a second mother to me. She treated me and my family as if we were her own children and grandchildren. I met her in 1984, I think it was, 83, 84. And she just opened her heart out to me, opened her home up, her and her family, her husband, Mr. DeWitt. She was a beautiful human being, a beautiful and loving person. It was a blessing to me for her to have being in my life and being able to go by and visit her and talk to her about things. And every time I saw her, she always had a smile. She always said, "Hey, Jonathan, boy, what you doing over here?" You know. And we sit down, we talk. My family and I would come over and sit with her, and she would want to feed us every time. But it had nothing to do with, she had nothing to do with me getting fat. I did that on my own. But like I said, I don't want this to be sad, but it's heavy on my heart right now to know that she's no longer here with us. But she's here in spirit, and the love I have for her will always be in my heart. Will never, as long as I'm on the faces, or as long as I'm breathing. Family, I also want to let y'all know that when I told her that me and Priscilla was dating, and we went by, and we told her that we were going to get married, and she said, "I want to make the cake." And how could you refuse that? Which is never would happen anyway, but she was like, "Okay," and she made that cake, and I'm gonna send you a picture of that cake. It was a beautiful cake, 3-tier. Everyone thought the cake was beautiful. Everyone loved the cake. We especially loved it. I don't know why I can't talk right now, but your mother was a hero to a lot of people. And her legacy will live on. Her legacy will live on through her children, through me, through Priscilla, my children. Thank you for the memories, Mama DeWitt. Thank you very much. I love you. Bye-bye.
I served on the board with Frances, I'm not sure how many, but it has to be 20 years. And to me, she's the end of an era. She was one of the last of the true Southern ladies in the United States. They're always polite, never had anything bad to say about anybody. But the funniest thing I remember when Red Cross started getting politically correct, and they came in and said we could no longer pray at our board meetings. And Frances thought about that, and she said, "No, sir, we're not having that," because she was always our prayer, because she was so good at praying. Everybody else would booger it up, but Frances always had a good prayer. So that's one thing I'm going to always remember about her. She was just a great Christian, fine Southern lady.
Okay. What? Go.
Of the 3 churches I've served, without a doubt, Southside Baptist Church has been my favorite because of the quality of the people and their generosity to help me in my ministry and anything I ask of them. I began there in September of '72, and I did music and youth. 3 months after I began, I took the youth on a trip to Florida to see the launch of the Apollo 17 rocket to the moon. I wanted to see it myself because it was going to be the first rocket launch at night. At the time, the church had an old blue school bus, and I mean it was old and it was blue. I was learning to drive it and was fairly comfortable, but I didn't really want to drive to Florida and let my first long drive be that with all the kids. So I asked around, and Frances DeWitt volunteered. That was fine with me. I accepted. She said, now, one thing, I'll need to take my son David with me. I said, that's okay. She said, he's 4 years old. I said, okay, fine with me. He showed up in a Superman outfit with a cape, and I think he wore it all 3 days we were down there, and he flew in that outfit wherever he went. It was a lot of fun. Frances, like so many people at Southside, was always available to help, no matter what I needed. If it was refreshments for a youth event, if it was a chaperone for a trip, if it was to serve with a choir as in helping out with some kind of activity, maybe it was a drama role for Christmas or Easter. Didn't make any difference. Whatever I needed, Frances would always be available if she could do it. That's why I'll always love Southside, because it was a church full of people with servant hearts. No matter the task, no matter the trouble, no matter the time involved, they would volunteer, and we had all the help we ever needed. One other event that I'll mention and end with involved Frances, and it was Wednesday night Christmas parties. In fact, one Christmas party, the closest to Christmas Eve, we would always have a very excellent meal, and then we played some games with everybody there, and this was everybody, adults, youth, children. And the highlight of the night was the reading of letters from Santa Claus. And as you might guess, Frances was the one who wrote them. They were always just as funny as they could be, crazy things people were asking for. But the funniest thing was the person who supposedly wrote the letter didn't know it until she read their name out at the very end. Well, this particular time that I'm referring to now was when Gene Swenson and Don Ram and myself were serving. Don was the education director. Don's last name was Ram, but it should be pronounced Rahaim because his father was Arab. Don had big, curly, bushy black hair and got a lot of kidding about it, but he took it in good faith and never was aggravated with it. Well, this particular night, the last letter was from two friends who wanted big, black, curly hair like their friend Don. And it was signed Dougie and Jeannie. And Frances, everybody died laughing. She said, "Where's Don Ram? Stand up, Don." Well, Don stood up a little perturbed and embarrassed maybe. She said, "Where's his two friends, Dougie and Jeannie?" Well, everybody started looking around, and we had slipped out while she was reading the letter. And the curtain at the front of the room opened, and Don and Jean and I walked out wearing this. Here's the picture of it. Well, everybody cracked up, most of all Don. He was a good sport, and I will never forget that evening. Frances was a gal of many talents. She loved the Lord, she loved to serve, and that's what ministry is all about. Serving, giving, and she certainly did that. My ministry was made easier and better by having people like Frances who were always ready to serve and give when they were asked. And though we will miss her, we will never ever forget her. How could we when we were blessed so much?
Hi, I'm Terry Moore. I've been friends with Frances for 47 years. And actually, I first became aware of Frances walking down the breezeway at Memorial Day School when my first grader was telling me, Tiffany was telling me about Lacey, her friend, and her mama. And I said, well, I don't think I know her mama. Oh, she's the lady with the perfect hair. And thereafter, I always knew Frances did have the perfect hair. It was never out of place, and she always had her earrings on. She wasn't dressed if she didn't have her earrings on, and her lipstick. So she could have been in a potato sack, but she was dressed. And anyway, that started a long friendship of working for Memorial. We were there all the time because we didn't have regular jobs, 8 to 5s, so it was real easy for us to be there and make cookies, be homeroom mothers, and oh my goodness, PTO president. I think between the two of us, we had 5 or 6 years, and then we were on the board of directors and had to make some really hard decisions, but we loved that school and did everything we could. One thing I can say about Frances, every day was a smile. It's a good day. She never ever said anything bad about anybody. In all these years, I have never heard her say anything critical or negative about anybody. She just loved everybody, and she had the love of Jesus in her.